This video is going to show how a Power Automate flow gets tracked in the IA-Connect Orchestrator and the workers pick up a process. To start, I am going to show you a flow running in Power Automate and how that reflects in the orchestrator. Here we have a Power Automate flow with multiple IA-Connect actions ready to run. If we test it, we can see that it starts and the door entry program gets launched here on the left. Now let's see what happens in the orchestrator simultaneously. You can see that there is 2 workers available, but since I am testing live on worker 1, that's the one that is going to get used. If I refresh, after a few seconds you can see that the flow name appears and the availability of the worker changes to not available as it's running a flow. The flow keeps running in the worker as you can see, and when it finishes, if I wait a few seconds and refresh my orchestrator, the worker becomes available again. Remember to always have the mark flow as complete at the end of your Power Automate flow to notify the orchestrator that the flow has finished so that it can free up the worker. There are other details that can be seen in the orchestrator about flows and workers. In the statistics drop-down, you can find flow stats. Here, you can check the results of all your previous flows and see some stats like how long they run for, how many actions they used, and the success or failures. By clicking details, you can see other info of your flow, and if you check a failed flow, you can also see the last error message passed on from Power Automate, which states why the flow failed. Another very important feature of the flow stats is that by clicking the code of the workflow, it takes you directly to the Power Automate flow run itself in the Microsoft website. In this way, you can quickly go and explore the issue that happened and resolve it faster. The other statistics page is the worker availability page. In here, you can see what was the state of all your workers when a flow started. Where it says no worker available, it means that when the door entry flow started at 14:45, it couldn't run on any of the 2 machines. In details, you can see the state of your machines at that time. One was running a flow already and the other one was in maintenance mode, therefore not capable of picking up a flow. A minute later, the flow got picked up by the first machine that was available, while the other one, as you can see in details, was still in maintenance mode. Just to show you, here it shows both worker available to pick up flows. In this last part of the video, I want to show you how the orchestrator manages flows when there are no available workers. Here we run a flow in Power Automate. As you can see, both the workers in the orchestrator are not available to pick up flows. So, when the process starts, it goes into a waiting phase until a worker becomes available. Power Automate has its own retry policy in these circumstances. By opening the first action that calls for IA-Connect in your flow and going into Settings, you can find the retry policy section and adjust to what your flow needs. You can choose between exponential interval and fixed interval. By choosing fixed interval, you can decide for how many times and after how long the action will retry to run if it hasn't been able to connect to a worker. In this case, I choose 5 times, and by inputting PT60S, I tell Power Automate to retry every 60 seconds. Once one of the workers becomes available, you can see that it takes a few seconds to connect and license the agent, and then the worker will pick up the flow and start running it. From now on, it will run as normal and finish the flow successfully in this case. This shows that if there are no workers available, the orchestrator is set up to almost queue the flows and pick them up as soon as a resource becomes ready to work. In this way, you don't have to always have an available worker at any given time, and your flows will not fail for lack of resource, but simply wait to run.